Oh my God, the booster is fired. I'll never get out of here. I must contact Antares. And where's your mother? This is Troy of Antares, emergency line, master control.
Hello?
Remember when your favorite show ended not with a bang or a hug, but with a to be continued that never came? Last time we counted down 5 TV shows that got canceled before they could wrap things up, and wow, you all had opinions. We got called out and politely beat down for leaving out some major heartbreakers. Well, today, by popular demand, we're back with part 2, featuring 5 more shows that vanished without closure, explanation, or even a lazy reunion special. And here's the thing, the entire list came 100% from your suggestions, so keep them coming. And if you missed part 1, we dropped the link in the comment section below. Now, before we jump in, be sure to like and subscribe because it really does help the channel. Now, let's get into it with a personal favorite of mine, number 5, My Name is Earl, NBC. This one's a little outside of our usual Gen X timeline, but so many of you mentioned it that we had to include it, and honestly, you're right, this one still hurts, me included.
Well, that guy is me. My name is Earl.
My Name is Earl followed Earl Hickey, a small-time thief living in the fictional rural town of Camden. After winning $100,000 in the lottery, he gets hit by a car while celebrating and loses his ticket. Lying in his hospital bed, he learned about karma during an episode of Last Call with Carson Daly. Convinced he needed to turn his life around, Earl made a list of every bad thing he ever did and set out to make amends. After his first good deed, he miraculously found his lost lottery ticket, which he saw as karma rewarding his commitment. Using his newfound wealth, Earl tackled his list with help from his dim-witted brother Randy, played by Ethan Suplee, while dealing with his vengeful ex-wife Joy, played by Jamie Presley, and the quirky residents of Camden. Every episode was a new item crossed off his list with some bad karma and usually worse decisions along the way. But here's where it gets interesting. Creator Greg Garcia originally pitched the show to Fox, who rejected it outright. When NBC picked it up, they insisted on finding the perfect star. That star turned out to be Jason Lee, who'd gained fame from a string of Kevin Smith films like Mallrats, Chasing Amy, and Dogma. And get this, Lee initially turned the role down twice without even reading the script. He had zero interest in doing television, but when he finally gave it a shot, he loved it so much he signed on immediately.
Me and Randy don't usually set the alarm, but today was our first day of work. Rise and shine, hands off mine, Randy, hands off mine.
The show was actually inspired by Nicolas Cage's character from Raising Arizona. Garcia used that as his template for Earl's personality, and for 4 seasons, that formula worked perfectly. The show was a hit, with the premiere drawing 14.9 million viewers and averaging over 11 million viewers in its first season. It earned multiple Emmy nominations and wins, including Outstanding Writing and Directing for the pilot, and Jamie Presley won the Outstanding Supporting Actress award. But here's the kicker. Earl wasn't canceled because of bad ratings. It was pure corporate warfare. The show was produced by 20th Century Fox but aired on NBC, and behind the scenes, these two giants were locked in a bitter financial dispute. According to Ethan Suplee, who played Randy, it came down to a financial dispute over licensing fees. NBC initially intended to renew the show, but Fox requested higher payments. NBC didn't respond for 2 weeks, and by the time Fox agreed to the original terms, NBC decided it was too late.
Bye, Felicia.
The really twisted part was that NBC executives had assured Garcia that Season 5 was happening. They told him to go ahead and end Season 4 on a cliffhanger. So Garcia wrote that massive paternity reveal. Earl finds out he's the father of one of Joy's kids.
I don't remember anything after Fat Steve going through the wall.
Sweet Jesus.
I know. I'm Dodge's father.
Soon after that, they slapped a "to be continued" on the screen and waited for the renewal call. Garcia later revealed his planned ending on Reddit, and it was actually beautiful. Earl was never meant to finish his 200-item list. Instead, he'd meet someone else with a list, and Earl was on it. This person would explain they got the idea from someone else who got it from someone else, creating this chain reaction of good deeds spreading across the world. Earl would realize he'd put more good into the world than bad, tear up his list, and walk into the sunset a free man. but instead of that poetic closure, we got radio silence. Garcia was so bitter about the cancellation that he took passive-aggressive shots at NBC in his next show, Raising Hope. In one episode, a character literally kicked someone labeled NBC president in the nuts over the Earl cancellation. Garcia didn't write that joke, but he sure as hell left it in.
Which one is from NBC? That's for canceling My Name is Earl!
Still, Garcia couldn't help resist one final wink at the fans. Check out this scene from the pilot episode of Raising Hope.
And in lighter news, a small-time crook with a long list of wrongs he was making amends for has finally finished. And you'll never guess how it ended.
The TV got turned off before we learned how it ended, but we knew exactly who they were talking about. It was Garcia's way of giving Earl and us at least some closure. The cast has said repeatedly that they'd return for a proper finale, but despite multiple pitches to various networks, nobody's biting. As Suppley put it, it wasn't big enough to be greenlit for a revival. So yeah, maybe karma did finally catch up with Earl, but NBC definitely caught some serious backlash from viewers who just wanted to see him finish the list. Number 4, Duckman, USA Network. Here's a show that was loud, weird, and definitely not for kids, though a lot of us somehow watched it as kids anyway. Duckman followed Eric Tiberius Duckman, a sleazy, foul-mouthed private investigator who also happened to be a duck living in Los Angeles. In this world, humans and anthropomorphic animals coexisted, which sounded almost normal until you remembered the show's tagline was literally Private Dick Family Man. Because nothing says wholesome fun like a lewd, egocentric waterfowl solving crimes. Oh, and he was widowed, too, naturally.
Same to you, sister! Devote a lifetime to the church. They think they own the road.
Voiced by Seinfeld's Jason Alexander, who was simultaneously playing George Costanza, Duckman was surrounded by an absolutely unhinged cast of characters. His business partner and only friend was Cornfed, a pig who talked like Joe Friday and somehow remained the show's voice of reason. At home, things got even weirder. There was Ajax, his slow-witted teenage son voiced by Dweezil Zappa, who made Beavis and Butthead look like Mensa candidates. We also had Charles, voiced by Dana Hill and then Pat Musick after Dana's untimely death, and Mambo, voiced by E.G. Daly. Did I mention they were genius conjoined twins? Yeah, that part happened too. Then there was Bernice, voiced by Nancy Travis, the identical twin of Duckman's dead wife. She was a no-nonsense fitness nut who hated everything about him. And finally, Grandmama, also voiced by Nancy Travis in a tour de force of vocal range. She was Duckman's comatose, flatulent mother-in-law. Yes, that sentence is accurate. So basically, it was your typical American family. If your typical American family included a duck detective, a pig partner, conjoined twins, and a gassy vegetative grandma. The show was created by Everett Peck, who originally had developed the character for comics for Dark Horse. The comics had a scratchy, chaotic style that the series preserved perfectly. Here's what made Duckman brilliant. Jason Alexander essentially got to play George Costanza cranked up to 11, unhinged, unleashed, and animated.
Sue me, I'm colorful. Doesn't mean I belong in here making potholders with the wackos. Besides, what gives you the right to judge other people anyway?
Greg Berger's Cornfed was a deadpan parody of Dragnet's Joe Friday and one of the most underrated voice performances of the 90s.
So, Mr. Cornfed, I understand you recently joined the unemployed. What makes you think we'd have an opening here?
Wild guess.
But Duckman wasn't just crass comedy. It was way ahead of its time. They were doing Road 2 episodes before Family Guy. They regularly mocked the USA Network long before it was cool to bite the hand that feeds you, and they pulled off meta storytelling that would feel right at home in today's algorithm-broken, fourth-wall-shattered TV landscape. Frank Zappa provided the music, his son Dweezil voiced Ajax, and they pushed boundaries tonally, narratively, and comedically. Yet somehow Duckman stayed obscure. According to Peck, USA completely mishandled the show. It was barely promoted, and the time slot changed constantly. Quote, "We weren't really able to build a solid viewership," he said in a 2009 interview. "It sort of developed a cult following," end quote. And like all great cult shows, Duckman got canceled just when things got the most unhinged. In the final episode, For Weddings Inconceivable, there's a triple wedding. Duckman marries Honey, King Chicken's ex-wife, Cornfed marries Beverly, Bernice's long-lost triplet sister, and King Chicken marries Bernice. Then, Duckman's dead wife, Beatrice, shows up out of nowhere.
Stop the wedding!
So, Sally, too late. You should... Beatrice.
Beatrice?
Beatrice?
Beatrice. Who's Beatrice?
My wife. My first wife.
When Duckman asks how she's alive, Beatrice drops the bombshell. Cornfed knew all along. The episode ends with him saying, "I can explain," followed by a giant to be continued. And that was it. No season 5, no explanation, no closure. USA pulled the plug and left everyone mid-vow and mid-sentence. Years later, writer Michael Markowitz revealed that the ending involved a government alien cover-up. He was an X-Files fan and even named the bride Diana Reinert as a Mulder and Scully nod. But the full resolution? He's keeping that to himself. He joked it'll be passed on to his heirs for the inevitable day when future generations revive Duckman. To this day, there's no reboot, no comic epilogue, no answers. Just a series finale that proves even cartoon ducks get ghosted. So, if you've been wondering what happened to Duckman's love life for the last 25 plus years, join the club because we're still waiting too. Number 3, Quantum Leap, NBC. Premiering in 1989, Quantum Leap was comfort food for sci-fi fans. Each week, Dr. Sam Beckett would leap into someone else's life. Different times, different places, trying to make things right before bouncing to the next person like a time-traveling guardian angel. It was heartwarming, inventive, and it gave us 5 seasons of Scott Bakula looking confused in a wide variety of outfits. Backing him up was Dean Stockwell as Al, the cigar-chomping, woman-chasing hologram who could only be seen by Sam, animals, and small children because apparently that's a thing.
What did she say to you that time in the bunker?
She said she'd sell her soul for a Pulitzer.
Not just her soul.
Yeah, well, I wish she'd have got...
Created by Donald P. Bellisario, the show was originally pitched as a time-traveling anthology, but what we got instead was one of the most beloved cult series in sci-fi history. Over 5 seasons, fans stuck around not just for the story of the week, but to find out if Sam would ever leap home. And then, things got messy. The season 5 finale was never meant to end the series. Bellisario wrote it assuming there'd be a season 6, and NBC never told him otherwise. If things had gone to plan, the episode would have ended with Al's photo leaping into a new one, him, Beth, and their 4 grown daughters, a teaser for the next chapter. Instead, we got something different. In the episode Mirror Image, Sam leaps into himself in 1953 at a Pennsylvania coal miner's bar. There, he meets people who resemble characters from past leaps but with different names, and the bartender, also named Al. Yeah, it gets weird. Through these strange encounters, Sam starts to question his journey, why he's leaping, and whether someone or something is guiding him. Eventually, he learns he's been in control the whole time. Given the choice, he leaps back to 1969 to tell Beth that Al is alive, rewriting his friend's future and giving him the happy ending he never got. And then, a black screen, a title card, the gut punch. And yes, they misspelled Beckett. The original broadcast got it right, but syndication dropped the second T. The disrespect! Bellisario later revealed he had a more emotional ending in mind, one where Sam and Al share a proper goodbye in a bar outside of time. But NBC rushed post-production and slapped on that text without telling him. Looking back, that final message wasn't so much a cliffhanger as it was a cosmic shrug.
Al's alive. And he's coming home.
Still, there was something poetic in Sam's decision. The mysterious bartender, played perfectly by Bruce McGill, told him he could go home anytime. But Sam chose to keep helping people instead. He put others before himself. Again. Fast forward to 2022 and Quantum Leap got a reboot. New leaper, Dr. Ben Song, new hologram, Addison, and a new mystery. And wouldn't you know it, the revival got canceled after 2 seasons on a cliffhanger. So let's recap. A show about a guy stuck in time got canceled on a cliffhanger, and when they rebooted it, they did the exact same thing. Now, if that's not proof that network execs have zero sense of irony, we don't know what is. Number 2, Out of This World. Syndicated. Now, if you grew up in the late 80s, Out of This World was one of those shows you secretly loved. It premiered in 1987 and followed Evie Garland, who found out on her 13th birthday that she was half alien. Her dad, Troy, hailing from the planet Antares, has been called back to his homeworld years earlier. Now he dispensed fatherly advice from 3 billion miles away through a glowing crystal cube. Along with your average teenage drama, Evie had the power to freeze time by touching her index fingers together and could gleep objects into existence like a one-girl alien magic act.
Evie, are you alright? Evie, what's the matter?
The show starred Maureen Flanagan as Evie and Donna Pescow as her mom. But the real star was Burt Reynolds, who voiced Evie's alien dad as a favor to the creators, allegedly recording full seasons of glowing cube wisdom in marathon studio sessions. Originally part of NBC's Primetime Begins at 7:30 experiment, Out of This World was one of just 2 shows that survived the failed programming block. After season 1, it moved to weekend syndication and ended up running 96 episodes over 4 seasons. And then came the final episode, Evie's 18. Troy finally appeared on Earth to celebrate his daughter's birthday, but a transport glitch left him as a see-through hologram. When he tried to beam back to Antares, Donna accidentally got zapped instead, stranding Troy on Earth and teleporting her to the alien planet. And that was it. No resolution, no follow-up, just a mother light years away, an alien dad stuck on Earth, and a glowing cube collecting dust. The show was canceled when syndication profits couldn't keep up with production costs. And just like that, a cosmic family reunion turned into a permanent intergalactic ghosting. It was like the producers just shrugged and said, well, time to pack up the cube and move on. If you want the full breakdown of how weird and lovable the show really was, we did a full deep dive, and the link is in the description. Number 1, Soap, ABC.
This is the story of 2 sisters, Jessica Tate and Mary Campbell.
Alright, let's just get this out of the way. Y'all absolutely creamed us in the comments of our previous video for not including Soap, so here it is by popular demand, the original champion of canceled with no closure chaos. Soap was a parody of daytime soap operas that somehow managed to out-soap the soaps. Between affairs, amnesia, murder trials, demon possession, alien abductions, it had everything, and it was actually brilliant, with sharp writing, bold satire, and one of the wildest ensemble casts on TV. Created by Susan Harris, Soap was groundbreaking in ways that are hard to appreciate now. This was 1977, and the show was tackling homosexuality, mental illness, adultery, and organized crime with a frankness that made network executives break out in hives. Here's how controversial it was. Before the show even aired, religious groups mounted a massive campaign to keep it off the air. A leaked memo from ABC's Standards and Practices Department was published in the LA Times, showing all the content they wanted censored, everything from the word slut to references to government organizations. ABC had to drop their sponsorship fee from $75,000 per spot to $40,000 because sponsors were terrified. Despite the protests, or maybe because of them, the show was a hit. The premiere won its time slot with a 39% share, and Soap ranked number 13 for its first season. It earned 17 Emmy nominations and won 4, including Outstanding Supporting Actor for Robert Guillaume as Benson. But here's what really made Soap special. It featured Billy Crystal as Jody Dallas, one of the first recurring gay characters on American television. Not the first. That honor goes to a short-lived ABC show called The Corner Bar in 1972, but Crystal's portrayal was groundbreaking, even if it seems dated now.
What the hell does he think he's doing? He's not going out dressed like that, is he?
No, it's too chilling. I'll take a wrap.
Bye, Barrett.
Susan Harris had originally planned for Soap to run 5 seasons, and she developed a complete story arc for all that time. She knew exactly where every character was going and how every plotline would resolve. But the constant protests eventually wore down the sponsors, and ABC decided to cancel the show after season 4. The problem was, nobody told Harris it was the final season until it was too late to write a proper ending. When the last episode was filmed, the cast and crew had every expectation that the season would be picked up for season 5. Harris has said that if she'd known the show was being canceled, she never would have ended on multiple cliffhangers. But when ABC canceled it after season 4, they left fans hanging from more unresolved plot lines than a soap opera should legally be allowed to have. Let's review just a few of the unresolved plot lines. Burt Campbell, played by Richard Mulligan, was about to be murdered in an ambush, orchestrated by his political enemies after being recruited to run for lieutenant governor. Danny Dallas, played by Ted Wass, was shot by his mob father-in-law after his affair with Annie was discovered. Chester Tate, played by Robert Mandan, was about to shoot both Danny and his wife Annie after catching them in bed together. Jody Dallas, played by Billy Crystal, was hypnotized and believing that he was a 90-year-old Jewish man named Julius. Benson, played by Robert Guillaume, well, he was smart enough to get his own spin-off and get out of there. Jessica Tate was played by Katherine Hellman, and she was about to be executed by a communist firing squad in a South American revolution, having been kidnapped by her lover El Puerco's enemies.
Ready? Aim! Fire!
And that was the last episode. The plan was to resolve all these cliffhangers in season 5. Susan Harris had it mapped all out, but ABC pulled the plug and reportedly under pressure from sponsors who didn't love the show's progressive storylines. And we never got the answers. Well, almost never. In 1983, Jessica Tate made a guest appearance as a ghost on the soap spin-off Benson, where she told Benson,
"I am positively not dead. I'm in a coma somewhere in South America."
Now, we don't know whether that was true or not, but at least it was the show's way of giving fans of soap one tiny bit of closure. Harris later revealed that Jessica would have lived if the show had continued, but she's kept most of the other resolutions to herself. Several cast members have since passed away, including Katherine Hellman, Catherine Damon, Robert Guillaume, Robert Mandan, Richard Mulligan, and others, making any potential reunion impossible. Soap wasn't just canceled, it was abandoned. And for fans who invested 4 seasons into the absurd brilliance of the Tate and Campbell families, it remains one of television's most frustrating unfinished stories. And there you have it, 5 more shows that left us asking ourselves, wait, was that it? Some were canceled too soon. Others had big plans that never made it past the network executives and their endless corporate warfare, and a few, well, they just ghosted us harder than a summer fling after Labor Day. Did we finally cover your favorite unresolved TV trauma? If not, let us know which one we missed in the comments. We have a feeling we'll need to do a part 3 of this series. And if you missed part 1 or want to check out our deep dive on Out of This World, we've got both linked in the description. Thanks for watching, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. And remember, this is Remember When.